Hello there, folks. Hope everybody is doing well. This is going to be kind of a low-key, low-energy stream today. I had a migraine earlier, and while it's mostly gone, it did kind of sap my energy. So it's just going to kind of be this. If I had the ambition to move my microphone setup closer, we could go full ASMR on this. Hold on. But we won't be doing that because I don't have the energy to hold this up at this height so that I can talk to you like this. But it would also be an annoying amount of work for me to set things up so I could just have it resting at this height. So while this will not be an ASMR stream, this is the energy level that you can expect. I appreciate your understanding. I mean, it's odd to ask me if I heard about it, Ms. Wicked Wolf, when somebody literally said it earlier in the same chat. But yes, I had heard even prior to the stream starting, and yes, you'll be missed, Ozzy. Reminder to folks, while I will try and keep up with the chat, I make no promises, especially when I am as low energy as I am today. So the one thing that will guarantee that I see your comment and or question will be to present it in the form of a super chat. And if you do it that way, you will also get the little gay heart of appreciation and my thanks. Yes, Harriet, I am planning to attend Gallifrey 1 next year. Knowing that it's only going to do another 3 years and then stop, I ideally would like to go to it for all the years that it is going to remain happening. I don't know if that's realistic, but yes, I'm absolutely going to be there next year. I already have my ticket and my hotel booked. Thank you, Sunny. I'm doing better than I was, but this is going to be a low energy stream, and I am genuinely drinking water today because hydration helps. Hope everybody is doing as well as you can be. Yeah, I feel like I have to say that these days. It's in some ways it's like being in COVID times again, you know. When you ask someone how they are, it's relative. It's grading on a curve. Am I gonna see Fantastic Four First Steps? Yeah, eventually. If you're asking me if I'm gonna go see it quickly while it's still in theaters, I don't know. I frankly got too much else going on to even think about potentially going to the movies right now. And, you know, today was going to be a very busy work day, and that did not happen. So I'm now really behind the 8 ball. So, lovely. All fun. I'm also going to Galley next year too. I submitted a panel idea for the first time. What panel would you like to attend or talk on? Oh, I haven't checked. I hadn't checked since the panel pitches had opened. So I don't know off the top of my head. I need to check those. Problem with Gallifrey 1 is location. No plans to visit US while current admin is in place. I mean, that's incredibly fair. Aongus. But I mean, like, that's true of literally anywhere you care to have it. Prior to Trump getting reelected, I would have said the same about any Doctor Who based event in the UK. I would have said, sounds great. I don't feel safe going there. So, that pendulum swings in all directions, sadly. If you could go anywhere, what would be your favorite day out? I don't know, Diana. That's one of those things that's a very fair question, but I don't have um a default go-to answer, and I don't think my brain's going to process and arrive at one today. Whenever a streamer has a metallic microphone really close to their mouth, I always think it looks like they're about to fillet a robot. That was a Family Guy gag, because Peter was like having a press conference or I think it was him. It was some character. I'm gonna assume it was Peter. It was like, hey, from here, does it look like I'm standing in front of a bunch of robot penises? I can't actually do Peter Griffin, or if I can't do it today. I don't know. My brain is fog. I rewatched Guillermo del Toro's Hellboy duology, and I love them. I'm honestly one of those people who thinks Hellboy 2 is better than Hellboy 1. Maybe that's just me. No, I agree, Gabriel. I like Hellboy 2 a fair bit better than Hellboy 1. Partially for ditching a lot of the aspects that I don't think really helped Hellboy 1, such as the idea that, Hellboy was secret and hidden, or the entire, like, the actor played him well enough, but the actor who was like playing the new guy on the force, so he could just be exposited to about everything. I think getting rid of him was a good idea. It just felt it, for me at least. It was far more focused on the aspects that really worked, and dropped or minimized a lot of the aspects that I didn't like as much. Now, if some people didn't have the same overall view that I had of the first Hellboy, i.e., their likes and dislikes and what aspects they preferred weren't the same as mine, I could see why they might like the second one less. I think it's significantly better. I wouldn't go to America either if I wasn't living here. Oh, that's a mood. Oh, boy. So the trailer for Pixar's new movie, Hopper. Yeah, I've heard that was out. I haven't hunted it down. I liked K-pop Demon Hunters, but it seemed kind of all over the place. I mean, intentionally, that's kind of its energy. I saw it for the second time all the way through over the weekend, and I will say that the stuff in between the songs, like, there's some good stuff there, but that is the stuff that my brain kind of white noises a little bit. Like, pretty much all the musical numbers are stellar, and the stuff in between it gets the job done, is kind of where I'm left, which I guess kind of puts it on a similar plane as The Greatest Showman in that way. I also think Blade 2 is better than Blade 1. I go back and forth on that one, Robin. Depends on the day. Just arrived, what are we talking about? Whatever comes up. Sounds like you're in George Carlin's neutral zone. The American Humanist Convention. I don't even know what that is. Had to be moved from the U.S. to Canada this year because they didn't feel like they could ask foreign non-white people to visit the U.S. Okay, regardless of who they are, that is a very fair thing. Like, I'm at this point, the Canadian border's not that far from where I am, and I'm at the point where I'm afraid to go to Canada, not because I'm afraid of Canada, but I'm afraid of trying to get back into the U.S. and what that would look like for me. So I am kind of in a situation where if I ever exit the country, I feel like I need to be prepared to not be let back in. So Sad that you have to disclaim it's okay if people like other things. It's a habit at this point. Where's my jetpack? Because I've been doing this long enough that I know that if you don't clarify that, um, people will make some assumptions or some leaps about your opinion. There's only one Frank Drebin. Unfortunately, Leslie Nielsen died. You know, I see the trailers for the new Naked Gun, and I'd say about a quarter of the jokes make me go, but then like a good chunk of them make me go, okay. I mean, I'm also of the opinion that Naked Gun isn't like Naked Gun was funny when I first watched it because I was 13, but you know, last year after watching Airplane and then Naked Gun, it made me realize that Naked Gun is just worse Airplane. Like I understand that the tropes and the um, things that they're spoofing and skewering are not the same, but I mean the delivery, the rapid fire of the jokes, how quickly they pivot from gag to gag to gag, and how sharp and or unexpected those gags were. Naked Gun is just worse. It's just worse Airplane. The gags are more predictable. It's not as rapid fire. It's not as cutting. There's one joke from the first Naked Gun that really got me because I hadn't expected it to go there, but it really was just one. And that is a gag where Frank, he's like cleaning off his desk. I think he might have actually been suspended or something. I can't remember now. But he's cleaning off his desk and he moves some documents and he goes, "Hey, it's that missing evidence from the Frizzetti case," or whatever the name of it was. "Oh, look at that. He was innocent." And then his partner goes, "Frank, he was executed 3 years ago." And Frank just puts it all back and kind of shrugs it off. Did you ever watch any of the Scary Movie films? Yeah. Didn't like any of them. Well, I laughed at a couple jokes from the third one. That was where I stopped. I absolutely fucking hated the first one. I really hated it. I really thought it was terrible. Um it was, every gag was so obvious, and half the gags weren't even gags, they were just references. Referencing a thing is not the same as making a joke about it, and it was so lazy, and it was especially infuriating because I know, you know, the Wayans did those first two. The Wayans can be funny. "I'm gonna get you, sucker" is funny. "Don't drink your juice in South Central." No, "Don't be a menace to South Central while drinking your juice in the hood" is funny. They can do funny spoof material. They just, it was so lazy and so beneath the people making it, and yet it was so successful. That is one of those ones that I didn't like it first time I saw it, and then for how successful it was, it made me hate it. Leslie Nielsen abandoned the deadpan that flowed from being a serious actor to proto Jim Carrey done badly. That is something that I think people forget about Leslie Nielsen, Jetpack, because like, yes, he got into comedy by being very deadpan in the Airplane film, but Naked Gun is a little bit more of a mix, but a lot of what he did after that is very mugging for the camera. He didn't keep up with the deadpan thing. Who would you say is your go-to Doctor Who YouTuber? Stu Bagful. Has been for a while. Thank you, context. Appreciated. I mean, that is part of the problem with especially that first Scary Movie, Jetpack, is Scream was already a near parody. I won't go so far as to say that Scream was a parody because it was still actually trying to be scary and intense in the way that slashers were, but it was, you know, it was doing the kind of stuff that you would also do in just a parody. It was pointing out the tropes, picking at them, inverting them, often to comedic effect. So when you try and make fun of a thing that was already making fun of things, like it, to pull a quote from Yahtzee Croshaw whenever he had, because he'll make this kind of point whenever he tries to do, because his reviews are very comedic, whenever he tries to do a review of a comedy video game. He's like, you know, it's if you're wondering why this is so straight faced, it's because it doesn't make a lot of sense to try and be crass about something that's already being crass. It's like trying to make fun of a poo by making it wear a second little poo as a hat. Or another time, he's like, and now I'm going to try and make some jokes about a comedy game because I'm the kind of guy who'll try to light a swimming pool on fire. You know, it's like, what are we doing? I also found so we're on Hellboy 2 again. I also found Prince Nuada and the Golden Army storyline more interesting than the villain from the first Hellboy. To me, out of those two films, Nuada is the best villain. Yeah, I mean, the first one, the Rasputin, I mean, he was kind of already the less interesting villain of the ones presented anyway. So there was that. What's my go-to comfort watch show? No, she's not in, Meg. She's not feeling well. But I'll tell her you said hi. If you'd like me to. Go-to comfort watch show. I don't remember the last time I had enough free time to do a comfort watch. So hypothetically, if I were trying to imagine, okay, you can just do whatever, and watch whatever. I don't know. Probably She-Ra and the Princesses of Power. Remember Leslie Nielsen in Forbidden Planet? Oh, yes. I absolutely do. The Big Finish set in the Big Finish set, which teams him up with River Song, the Ninth Doctor is confirmed as a romantic. Works for me. I tend to imagine most of the Doctor incarnations as being a romantic. Jason Nuity. Thank you very much for the super chat. I appreciate that. That is a cute little icon. I'm reminded of what Todd in the Shadows said about Jay Leno's Gangnam Style parody. It's already a gag song. You're stealing his bit. Yeah, kinda. Watching with my GF here. Well, I hope you both enjoy Coyote for as low energy as this one is and will remain. I hope your break's going all right, Meg. I'm glad you joined us. I can't remember which of the movies it was, but when they can show 3 drops of blood under the hammock to tell you that the 2 teens are dead, it's better than the bloodbaths lately. I want to say that was a Friday the 13th, except probably not, because those really went out of their way to have the gnarliest kills they could get away with. So I don't actually know slashers that deeply or that well. A lot of those kinds of horror movies are the kinds of things I enjoy watching or reading other people talk about, but I don't really enjoy watching very much. What would you say is your biggest regret and biggest success since doing YouTube full time? I wouldn't even know how to quantify those. Good way to spend low energy. Light a candle, pretend you're being eerie. Oh, if getting a candle did not involve me having to go upstairs to get one, I would absolutely do that. Unfortunately, the amount of energy it would take me to do it makes it self-defeating. But that is a lovely idea. I'm going to put that in my back pocket. But coming back to your question, Mr. Zaki boy, I don't I don't really have a biggest regret or a biggest success that I can think of. Like for me, the success is the fact that I get to do this as a living at all. Um, and nothing is jumping out to me as a regret. I'm very lucky that approaching this in a way that keeps me enjoying it has been successful enough that I can keep doing it that way. I think I avoided what could have been my biggest regret, which would have been altering my approach and topics that I talk about strictly for the sake of the algorithm. But I haven't had to do that. And I mean, maybe that's my biggest success, that I'm able to keep doing this the way that I want to. What would you do with 45.6 billion won? I'm trying to remember what the conversion was. I did look that up before. Give me a second. 45.6 billion. Here we go. That's 33 million. Dang. I mean, my answer is unfortunately very boring and pragmatic. I would pay off my debts. I would pay off, um, the debts of some of the people closest to me. I just want to bring as much security and comfort to as many people who matter to me as I could. So I don't have an exciting answer to that. While I am somebody with a lot of ambitions, I am ultimately very much a pragmatist. And when you tell me, here's a huge lump of money, my brain isn't going, ooh, here's this absolute dream idea, like, oh, I could finance a movie or whatever. Like, I just, I just, I just, I just want to take care of the people who matter to me as best I can. Jennifer De Benedetto, thank you very much. That was very generous, and I really, really appreciate it. Just saying thank you for being here. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Have you seen Kevin Feige's press announcements? I have. I've seen some of the stuff that has come out of them. I haven't combed through them. I know that like amongst like one of them I mocked on Blue Sky because he had his whole, we took a while to settle on how we were gonna do Blade because we didn't just want to have him in a leather coat killing vampires. And it's like you didn't just want to have him do the thing that people love this character for. Like, dude, come on. Do you watch any British panel shows? If so, did you watch the most recent season of Taskmaster? I do not. I catch bits now and then. I have people close to me who watch Taskmaster, so I'll hear about it sometimes. But about as close as I get to British panel shows is Game Changer, which is not British, but kind of adopts some of the mentality of some of those. Break is wrapping up, going to head back into the fray. Send your positive thoughts. Keep small children and drunk idiots out of my store. Sending small child and drunk idiot repelling vibes your way, Meg, best as I can. Thank you for stopping in. Honest thoughts on Seth MacFarlane and Hellboy 2. He was good. You asked that like you were expecting there to be a problem. I don't have a problem with Seth MacFarlane in general. I don't like all of his work, but like I don't have an issue with the dude's output by and large. So the way you worded that has me puzzled. Just got a new job. Congratulations, Reno. On Caprica bits of Battlestar Galactica, does it ever bother you that everything is supposed to be radioactive, but there's plant and animal life everywhere? No. Like they've never taken that aspect of the hazard seriously, so I'm not going to there are some things. Okay, this is kind of a agreement that I find myself making with certain pieces of media. Like, it bugs me that you are ignoring all of this, but clearly you are just going to ignore that. And if you're not going to bring it up, I'm not sure it's my place to impose it on you, unless we're talking about like failing to acknowledge something that they did that is like actively harmful when we get to certain talks about certain tropes or certain depictions. But like, just as a world building thing, if a creator or a piece of media just is like, we're not going to deal with that, my usual response to that is fair enough. Like, that's your call to make, and I'm not gonna, I might bring it up once or twice, but I'm not gonna ding the entire piece of work for something that it made a choice to not do. It's pretty rare for me to do that unless I feel like they just had a massive missed opportunity. Because like, what would a show like Battlestar Galactica gain by acknowledging that? Would it impact the story in a meaningful way? No. No, it wouldn't. So I don't have a problem with stories ignoring that kind of stuff. You say plant and animal life. We have seen virtually no animals. We've seen a barn. I don't remember us seeing any actual animals in there. Recently started Peacemaker. Have you watched it? Has the new one started, or are you talking about like the first season? Okay, no, it doesn't start until August. Yes, I've seen it. I liked it quite a bit. I did reviews in the Break Room of Geeks, my secondary channel. Saw the new Superman yesterday, or as it should have been called, Crypto the movie. Crypto was important, but it was not his movie. I just want to be safe and build community as long as I can. That is a wonderful, wonderful goal context, and I hope for the best for you with that. It's where suspension of disbelief comes in. Yeah, more or less. The rat helo shot. Oh, right. Right, Angus. I forgot about the rat. That ticked me off. What's your opinion on Jammy Dodgers? I actually don't know, because somebody sent me Jammy Dodgers once, but when I had one on stream, like, multiple people immediately point out, like, oh no, those are like the knockoff Jammy Dodgers. So I don't know if I've had a proper one. So I couldn't actually tell you. So I am actually going to pop over to the Discord and check what questions are there. Reminder, Council of Geeks Discord is a Patreon exclusive perk. $2 a month gets you access to the Discord, which is a lovely and active group of people. Plus, you know, I'm there, which don't let that scare you off. All right, let's see. Huntrix or Saja Boys? Huntrix. Who's the best dog, Crypto or Archie? Archie. Like, Crypto is very cute, but he's a bad dog. 3 more of this kind of question or a sip of water? Well, I should take a sip of water anyway, so. So I've gotten to season 2 of Battlestar Galactica. Is it problematic to depict dictatorship as something those in authority sort of reluctantly opt into in an extreme situation, rather than just as a self-interested power grab? Because in most real-life situations where military leaders have taken over, they just want power, the kinds of things Adama was sincerely concerned about, existential military threats, mentally incapacitated elected leaders are usually just propaganda narrative justification in real coups. Given the time in which it was made, I don't think it is particularly problematic. Like, you do to a certain extent. Again, this is the buy-in. You are either going to accept a piece of work on its own terms or not. I think what helps with Battlestar Galactica is that it in no way validates that choice. I mean, you talk about Adama's concerns. I'll note that martial law was declared by Tai, not Adama, and it is depicted from its inception as a bad thing that should not have happened. So you can have your debate as to whether the show grappled with the morals of that as much as you might have liked, but it's not like it pretended like it was some noble self-sacrificing thing that happened. Like, no, it was bad. It was presented as bad. More Battlestar Galactica, because folks didn't know I have a podcast with Jesse Gender. We're going through the show. So you know how not knowing what Head 6 is affecting your ability to engage with Battlestar Galactica? Why don't you just look it up if it's really bugging you? Seems weird to me to be avoiding a spoiler if you think having something spoiled might actually improve the experience of a story. Well, it's the premise of the podcast. The premise of the podcast is Jesse has seen it before, and I am going in unspoiled. I'm not watching it for fun. If I was watching it for fun, I don't know, maybe I'd check that. But like, the premise of the podcast is I don't know. So I don't know what to tell you. In her spoiler minutes, Jessie occasionally mentions how much more she appreciates those early episodes, knowing where things are going. Is it fair to give the episodes credit for any of that, given Ron Moore says he made up a lot of stuff later and didn't have it planned at the time? Well, she's not giving the episodes credit. She's giving the full picture credit, because if she's saying it works better with knowledge of what comes later, that's appreciating the full picture, not necessarily praising the individual episodes. Now, I don't listen to the spoiler minutes for obvious reasons, so I can't cite specifically what she is or isn't saying, but like I've said before, any creator, and we'll see how well Ronald Moore pulls this off, but any creator who can go in with only part of a plan and get to the end and make it look like stuff at the beginning was deliberate setup for stuff that happened later, even when it wasn't. That's some of the magic of how TV was made. I'd say in the late 90s through about 2010. It didn't always happen, but when it did, it was really special. We saw that with Babylon 5 a fair bit. Lots of Battlestar Galactica questions in this one. Is Hilo a victim of sexual assault in terms of his initial relations with Toomer? That's Twomer. That was the nickname that we came up with for the version of Sharon that Hilo met on Caprica, given that he was led to believe it was Boomer. Okay, so let's be clear. Deception that leads to a sexual encounter is a form of assault, so let's get that out of the way. Whether or not I would call Hilo a victim in this particular circumstances, it gets muddled by the fantastical elements of the story, because in many ways, each version of Sharon is also every other version of Sharon. So for you to say that his initial relationship with Toomer was because he thought it was Boomer, but for all intents and purposes, it is. The fact that it wasn't the same literal physical version of her is not really equivocal to the real life situations of assault by deception, if that makes sense. So if somebody wanted to make that argument, I wouldn't argue against them. I wouldn't make that argument because the sci-fi specifics and nature of the show make it muddled in a way that I don't think that that's a comparison that is helpful to make. How do you think Battlestar Galactica is handling what is an ongoing theme of sexual violence, whether by physical assault, coercion, or deception. You may have got to Pegasus in the podcast room by now. I haven't. I don't know what Pegasus is. So, I don't know. I think for the most part, I feel like the show's been handling it okay for a show of the time. And I say that largely based off the fact that not very many moments have made me go, oh my God, that's disgusting. Because like as much as I like Babylon 5, there were a couple of moments of that. And they especially grossed me out because the show did not seem to realize what it had done. So, you know, because I'm struggling to think of that, I'm not saying it hasn't happened. I may have had that reaction at some point, but I don't recall. So I'm going to say it's been doing decently. Vermont is invaded by an angry race of space opossums. Which doctor do you hope accidentally drops by to help out? 12 is busy. I'll take 7. Favorite superhero film? Into the Spider-Verse. Favorite dark superhero AU, which I'm assuming stands for alternate universe. I'm not sure it's actually good, but I have a nostalgic soft spot for this one-off, one-issue Elseworlds that they did that was like this medieval setting, and Batman was like a knight, and Catwoman was a woman who could literally turn into like a sort of a cat monster thing. I don't know. I got a hold of that in the 90s, and I was kind of a sucker for it. I think more meaningfully, Gods and Monsters is one of the real good dark ones. General question, not just related to question boundaries. What are politics? Okay. So, for clarification, in the Discord, I have been asking people of late, I deliberately had, please no politics for the stream for a while. I've gotten to the point where I've now said for people asking questions on the Discord, only one of your 3 questions to be about politics. And so this is sort of related to that, but like, okay, we could get into the philosophical debate as to where politics end and everything else begins, because everything is political, because it is at the very least a result of political decisions and realities in which we exist. However, we're not doing philosophy today. So what do I mean when I say no politics? I mean, I don't want to talk about the current political activities or attempted political activities or announced political goals of groups, individuals, or parties who are working to reshape the political landscape of a given nation or the world as a whole. Or if you want the shorthand, since we're talking about what's on the Discord, then I would simply say, if you're looking at all the channels that I have on the Discord, if you have something you want to bring up and you think, of all the channel options, this should be put in the politics Discord, that's what I mean. Do you think Marvel Netflix shows were better handled than the ones on Disney Plus? Why or why not? No, I think they were just mishandled in different ways. I think it is easy to claim that Marvel on Netflix was better simply because it gave us 2 legitimate bangers, one being the first season of Daredevil, the other being the first season of Jessica Jones. But upon trying to capitalize on any of that and go any further with it, those shows just kept stepping on their own dick every step of the way. So they had problems that were different from the ones on Disney Plus, because they kept, trying to build this ongoing stuff around characters that they didn't understand or didn't understand the appeal of, or miscast, in the case of Danny Rand. Whereas, say, on Disney Plus, I think they understand the characters decently, but not necessarily on how to package them. And they've done a lot of these one-off miniseries in a way that have just ended incredibly unsatisfying, because they're just not designed to be complete experiences, even though they really should be. So, like, I don't think either is inherently better than the other. I think they both have problems for different reasons. You said during the last live stream that you think Reality War should have ended with an open-ended regeneration. Do you think that maybe RTD avoided doing this to avoid the future of the show looking so bleak, or to avoid giving oxygen to the anti-woke crowd who want to see the show get canceled? Sort of. I don't think the anti-woke crowd was in his mind. I think he made that decision in the hope of exciting the fan base, and that fan base's excitement would help ensure that the show comes back faster than if it was open-ended. That's why I suspect he made that decision, because if it was an open-ended, we're not sure who the Doctor becomes, that also leaves you in a situation of, oh, well, we don't have to come back to this right away. This could go to sleep for a decade and we could circle back and deal with it. Whereas if you've already cast somebody, that does, not literally, but sort of puts the energy of a little bit more of a ticking clock, and like, this is who we've got. Don't you want to see this while there's time? I think that was his reason for doing it. I don't think it worked, because I think we're probably still going to look at best, a 3-year, more likely a 5-year hiatus on the show. So, a while ago, before the RTD2 era, was a thing I remember you making a video with Crispy Pro where you argued that RTD was a better showrunner than Moffat. Would you still hold the same opinion if you were to take the RTD2 era into account? I don't know off the top of my head. Probably not. But I'm not going to commit to that right now. Will you do some Doctor Who news? What news is there? Like, the rumor mill's still spinning, because it always is, but has there actually been news to, like, for me to even give an opinion on? If there has been, I missed it. Anyways, I am back in the actual chat on YouTube. We have another super chat. I appreciate it very, very much. Jasonuity. Mind if I ask about your musical taste? You can ask. I don't have a clear-cut answer for you, because my musical tastes are very ADHD coded, and what I mean by that is a sporadic mix of random songs from random artists that I heard one time and like, oh, I like that, and added it to a playlist. It's all over the damn place. I couldn't even name you like a favorite genre of music. Like, it's just legitimately all over the dang place, and it's always very mood dependent. Which episodes of Doctor Who would you like to see return to the BBC archives? I'm assuming, Arthur, by that you mean like banished, and like so we don't see it. Just idiot's lantern. In my opinion, the best DC Comics live-action movie is Red from 2010. Red was fun. It's not much of an adaptation, but then again, I've heard very mixed things about the original work anyway. Laura, I need you to not be asking potential spoiler questions about a show that I have not finished yet in the chat. Pretty please. In regards to that question about Hilo, I've heard people use very similar logic to that, to argue trans people have to come out to all their partners first. I mean, like, if you're intending to build an actual relationship with someone, I think you probably should come out to them as trans before it gets far enough to be sexual in nature. If we're talking more about hookup culture and you've had, bottom surgery and gender affirming care, it gets a little more muddied. If you're somebody like me who is A, eminently clockable as being trans, and B, never has and never intends to get any surgeries, particularly bottom surgery, like, if I don't tell them, they're going to find out real quick anyways. Supreme Omega! Thank you very much For the super chat. In contrast to Lois, MJ seems to be much harder to adapt faithfully, especially on film. The Raimi films never quite got it. The MCU films never got it. Well, the MCU films were very deliberately doing a different take as opposed to adapting her straight. I mean, I think part of the thing there, Supreme Omega, is there isn't really a definitive take on MJ besides, how Peter feels about her. Lois, while she changed a lot over time, eventually settled on a very clear set of firm standards, largely around her capability as a journalist and how committed she is to journalistic ethics. So, as long as you get that right, you're probably going to do okay. Whereas MJ, her priorities and her personality and her dynamic have been in a lot more a state of flux from era to era, and other than how she looks, I'm not sure there's a definitive, core trait to her, the same way that eventually there was for Lois. I thought you were on the new show, not the 40-year-old one. Well, we're gonna do that one eventually too, Laura. Are you familiar with the YouTube channel? I can never pronounce this. Scaphrillis Productions. Yes, I've seen the occasional video from them. I'm not a regular viewer, but Red 2 was fun too. I didn't see that one. Funny detail in the end credits for the new Superman is that Otis's surname is Berg. Whatever meaning that has, Rowan, that went over my head. Actually, I meant about the missing episodes. Okay, then I get the way your question was worded, Arthur. Could you try asking the question again from scratch, differently worded, because you've lost me now. Watched a few of his videos, but that's all. Okay. Not sure why you brought it up, but okay. Favorite short-lived sci-fi TV shows? I'm not sure there are that many I actually got that into that I would consider to be short-lived. Oh, Otisburg. Okay, thank you, Jenny. I get it now. Took me a second. Sorry. I'm haze, as I said. God, short-lived sci-fi TV shows. Oh, somebody said Firefly. Yeah, Firefly was good. There's got to be some others. I don't know. I'm drawing a blank. It's not my most collected day. I bawled with tears once I found out Ozzy died today. I found the news out and I had to sit in silence for about 15 minutes and get McDonald's. Probably not the best idea, but oh well. Whatever gets you through, Gabriel. Whatever helps. It bugged me that MJ wasn't a redhead in the new movie. Even if the actress is a person of color, I wish they'd given her dye job. I mean, I don't agree 255 because you even saying that kind of makes the point that her hair is more iconic than her personality. And if that's all that it takes to be thought of more as MJ, then I think there might be a fundamental issue with the character. And I say that as someone who likes MJ and who is still angry that they destroyed that marriage. But if you think, well, MJ equals redhead and that's all you've got, there's a problem somewhere. The Prisoner really takes that. I don't think I'd count Prisoner in this kind of conversation because whether or not it was ended sooner than intended is kind of a matter up to debate. It depends on who you ask, but it did finish. It was a single series show, but so were most shows in the UK. Was Sliders short-lived? Didn't they have 4 or 5 seasons? I wouldn't call that short-lived. I've never seen the last 2 Firefly episodes or the movie. The movie is good. I have one massive issue with the movie, which I did a nitpick rant on a while ago. Actually, I can't remember if it was a nitpick rant or a good movie, bad ending. It was one of the two. I think it was a nitpick rant. There is one aspect of that movie that I have huge problems with, but it's otherwise pretty good. I'm especially, given not only what we found out about Whedon as a person, but also like where his writing tends to drift if you let him go on long enough. I'm not especially super sad that Firefly didn't get to have more episodes, just because I feel like he would have started screwing it up. You know what I mean? No, Black Cover. Otis was Ernest Borgnine's character. Was Dark Angel short-lived? That was 2 seasons. That might count. My introduction to Richard Pryor was the Muppet movie. Fair enough. Stanley likes redheads, I assume. I actually think that might have been John Romita Sr. really had the thing for the redheads, but I don't know. Oh no, Ned Beatty. Why did I say Ernest Borgnine? I'm sorry, Ned Beatty. Thank you, Joel. Bleh. Again. Hayes. I know what happens. I don't want to watch it for a reason. Fair enough, Kura. That's fine. Did you ever watch Defiance? Nope. Never did. Never saw that one. I legit like Sequest DSV. I binged all the seasons on Peacock. How many seasons did that one get? Did you watch Dollhouse? That was a warning in hindsight. I did watch Dollhouse. It was a show that, to my memory, had some interesting ideas and a handful of really good episodes, but on the whole, never quite came together. Like, I remember the first episode that Patton Oswalt was in was really good, and the episode where they did the reveal on the character of Alpha, I remember thinking that was really good. But it was just kind of messy. Have you seen the ESPN docu-series? I can stop you right there, KJ. If it's ESPN related, I guarantee you I haven't seen it. Any thoughts on Papers, Please? Fascinating game. I didn't keep playing, not because I wasn't interested, but just because I had other stuff to do. But fascinating little game. Have you ever seen the weird 1988 mockumentary to mark Superman's 50th anniversary, hosted by Dana Carvey, starring Fred Willard and Ellen Green? Nope. Never heard of it. Not a clue what that was, Rowan. Sequest ESV had 3 seasons. I feel like 3 seasons is debatable as far as short-lived goes. I like anything that is single season or didn't get its full season. Absolutely short-lived. 2 seasons? Yeah, probably. 3, we're getting debatable. If it hit 4 seasons, it's not short-lived. Have you seen the Sarah Jane Adventures? I have seen all of the first season and parts of the second season, and it's just not for me. It's aimed at a younger age bracket, and I just can't get into it. It's fine. I have no problem with it existing. It's great that it exists. It's great that it means a lot to people. For me to actually seriously dive into it, somebody would have to pay me. Dark Angel benign eugenics for funsies was a thing. Passive or benign eugenics is a thing that pops up in a shocking amount of, especially science fiction related media context. I would like to say, oh, that's surprising, except it's not. 70s had a lot of short run series, Logan's Run, Man from Atlantis, etc. Yeah, Aongus, but that was also before my time, so I'm not going to have the awareness on those. There's a YouTube channel called Golden Sci-Fi Cinema. They've been showing 70s sci-fi movies that could be remade or rebooted. I mean, here's my initial thought on that, Adrian. The thing is, most 70s sci-fi, or at least most 70s sci-fi that I know, was depressing. And I, for one, don't need new versions of depressing works about how we're all screwed. I don't need a modern Soylent Green. You know what I mean? Uh, I don't need a modern Logan's Run. This stuff feels too close to reality. Um, yeah. Seasons 1 and 2 had 20 something episodes. Season 3 only had 13. Okay. I guess I'd let that one pass then. Gabriel is short lived. Something I am really enjoying about the coup plot in Battlestar Galactica is the idea the way you resist is just refuse to give any air or supplies to the Galactica. Cough, general strike, cough, cough. Yeah. Were that more nations could get it together well enough for a general strike. Boy, that would be lovely. I like Dollhouse getting dark and scrutinizing its own concept. Obviously, Whedon sucks as a person. Like, yeah, I did appreciate. I mean, I'm working off very old memories. I haven't rewatched any of it since it aired. But to my memory with Dollhouse, I'll give it credit. Like, it does start really examining what it was doing. But at the same time, it did still spend a significant amount of time just sort of reveling in that premise. You know, it's hard to fully take in something as you know, not being somewhat disingenuous when it spends a while reveling in a trope and presenting it basically at face value before it gets around to starting to pick it apart. You know what I mean? I feel like drinking, but I'm trying to drink less. Best of luck, Jenny. What about American Arcadia? It's 70s, it's sci-fi. I know what American Arcadia, the video game, is. If there was a show called that, I don't know it. I did hear that, KJ. I still have to see Nightmare Alley. Keep meaning to. Some days I wish Konami hadn't given up on Castlevania games. Then I remember the Mirror of Fate games exist, and I'm kind of glad. Konami shouldn't make games. Konami should just like sell off its properties at this point. It doesn't want to make games. Do you think if series 1 through 4 of Doctor Who were to air for the first time today, how much do you want to bet the anti-woke mob would call it woke garbage? I don't have to bet, Mr. Zaki Boy. They were calling it garbage at the time. Now, that view wasn't being shouted in the mainstream by YouTubers or on Twitter or by, you know, frustratingly increasing large sections of power. But like the idea that it was gross and agenda pushing existed at the time. I've talked about this before. I started watching the show as it aired in season 4, and as I had caught up, I did get on some of those Doctor Who forums. I was on Outpost Gallifrey. I saw the people screaming their hatred about Jack and how gay he was. It's not even a matter of time. They were bitching about it at the time. They pretend now that they weren't. It becomes the cover story like, we were fine with Jack, but this is not okay. You weren't fine with Jack. You hated Jack. You hated RTD at the time. So no, it like all that stuff existed. It became increasingly mainstream and far more visible as time went on, but it was always there. I've talked repeatedly about how the fact that fandoms have always had these problems. These stripes of incredibly toxic fans have always existed. They're not new, they just have access to platforms. I'm going to try and wrap it up soon. whenever I see bleak sci-fi from the 70s or 80s, I think, goddamn, I wish we had it as good as people back in the 70s. Boomers didn't know how they had it. Well, I mean, it depends on what the bleak thing is, 255. I mean, you look at something like Soylent Green, and it is a forward look at, okay, there keep being more people and we keep destroying the environment. Let's play that out. That's not really reflective of, oh, they don't realize how good they have it. It was like, hey, this is already a problem and it's going to get worse. And of course, nobody freaking listened. So kind of depends on the specifics. Do you think future Superman movies could include a certain interdimensional imp with a name I'm not even going to try and get you to pronounce it? Mixie, it's Pitlick. I can pronounce it just fine. I don't think he is really suitable for a movie. Like, he's shown up a few times in TV shows. He showed up in Supergirl. He showed up in the Superman animated series. He's real good for those kinds of quick hits. He's not really character I would think you could base a movie around, other than like a quick section, like as a gag thing. Like you kind of, if you do kind of a repeat of a gag that they did like on the Superman animated show where he showed up. He's all like, all right, I'm back. You're not going to get rid of me this time. And Superman tricks him within 5 seconds to say his name backwards and gets rid of him again. I think doing that be fine. Trying to actually make him central to the film, I think, would be more trouble than it's worth. Eugenics don't surprise me. Seeing it from wheelchair user characters is hard for me, especially writers that don't have community or don't have disabled community or experience. Ooh, Wrath Month. Yeah, Wrath Month is definitely a thing I am here for. Sequest was also from Rockney Sobano, who did Farscape, another favorite show of mine. I adore Farscape. Farscape's one of my favorite shows of all time. There keep being more people over population isn't a real problem. I understand that, 255, but the destruction of the environment and a shortening of food sources is. So pack it away, would you? I'm not in a mood to argue. And I am going to wrap it up right now. Do you remember Red Dwarf episode Queeg? Yep. The actor who played him recently passed away at 81. Oh, that's a shame. He had a good run, though, from the sound of it. But thank you very much, everybody, for tuning in. Thank you for joining me on this low-energy journey. I hope you all have a good rest of the week, good rest of the month. There will be no stream next week because we do this bi-weekly. I will try and have a gaming stream tomorrow on the break room. I don't know what game. I need to figure that out. And it's okay, 255. I'm real tired. And Saturday's video, which is not up in early access yet, I wanted to try and get that edited today, but again, I was floored with a migraine for most of the day. Saturday's video is going to be about self-censorship that creators engage in on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, etc. So thank you all very much for joining me. I hope you all take care. Be well, be safe, be kind. You are beautiful. You are valid. You are loved. I'm not going to do the McCavity thing. My head is too foggy. See ya.